How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the protests that are happening across the nation today because it is July 4th, our Independence Day. Now, before I continue and get into the protests and what I think about them, happy Independence Day. Happy 4th of July. Hopefully you're enjoying your day safely. You're going to a barbecue, a cookout, got your hamburgers, hot dogs, beef, pork ribs, your sweet tea, your alcohol safely. Whatever you're doing, enjoy your day. All right. Don't let any of the haters that tell you that the 4th of July holiday is racist, is sexist, it's oppressive, and all these other obics in this. Don't buy into that. Enjoy your day because as an American citizen, you are entitled to that day. OK, even if I don't like you, even if you just are far leftist extremist and want to call me all kind of racial slurs, you are still entitled to that day because you're an American citizen. If you're not an American citizen and you want to become one, go through the proper channels, pay your money, immigrate here legally, then you will be entitled to the holiday as well because you would then be an American citizen just like all of us. But for now, I digress. My whole point is that there are quite a few protests happening around this nation because today is the 4th of July, Independence Day. Now, the chief argument is that America has a lot of sins in the past. You're talking about slavery, the treatment of Native Americans, all kind of things that they say that America did back then. So that means we're just an inherently evil country, an inherently evil place that hates everybody unless you're a straight white male and has to be toppled and it can't be celebrated. Now, this is really ridiculous. First of all, let's get into this whole thing about, slavery and the treatment of natives. Let's talk about the natives first before we get into slavery, because it'll give you a little bit of context there. The natives fought amongst themselves before there was ever a white man or a black man coming to North America. That's a fact. OK, it wasn't just all peaches, sunshines, and rainbows. Same thing with the Aboriginals in Australia. They had warring tribes that were very close to each other. And if you stepped outside of your boundary, then other tribe would kill you instantly. OK, go to the Andaman Islands right now off the coast of India, where people don't really come there at all. They've pretty much been isolated for a very long time, thousands of years maybe. Try to step foot on the island without getting killed. It'd be kind of a hard thing for you to do. All right. It's just not even really that kind of party. Don't do it. That's the way it was here in North America and some parts of the land. Same thing with Native Australia. That's just a fact. All right. There were native slaves here before any white man or black man came. When the white man and black man came, the natives also picked up black slaves. Black people also picked up black slaves, native slaves. There were even some white slaves. All right. This whole thing about the Trail of Tears keeps getting mentioned and they say, oh, the Trail of Tears is so bad. I'm not saying it was good, but what I also come here to say is that you don't know the full story because the natives brought their black slaves with them on the Trail of Tears. So how are you going to feel sympathetic towards them for the Trail of Tears when they had slaves too? All right. Aren't you going to cancel the natives because they had slaves? I mean, and then that could also be geared towards blacks who had slaves. All right. So just because you're a black person, that's not mean you were a slave or some kind of victim. It's just not even like that. And what do you mean when you say you were? I mean, I was never a slave. Nobody alive today was ever a slave. So when you say, oh, you were a slave. Nah, I was born here in America, been free my whole life, never been to jail, nothing like that. I've never been a slave at all in my life. So this whole thing is just kind of ridiculous. I think people are just being brainwashed in the K through 12 education and especially in college to believe certain things that are not true about this, sin of slavery and whatnot. Slavery was the norm all over the world. The United States was one of the first nations to end slavery, not only here in our nation, the United States, the best nation on planet Earth. Don't get that twisted. We also went to other places and ended it there. We went to Africa, of all places, and ended slavery there because let's not forget, it was never called the slave kidnap. It was a slave trade. The European would pull up to the coast of West Africa, pick up slaves that the Africans had already captured themselves in exchange for gunpowder, mirrors, basic stuff like that. That's a fact. Okay, same thing with the Arabs. They would come from Ottoman Empire across the Sahara Desert through Timbuktu, all this, that, and the third, to pick up black slaves to take back to wherever they were. North Africa, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Southern Europe, wherever they were. All right. And the same thing with blacks here. Mansa Musa, praised as the richest man ever to be an African man. What was his chief thing that he gained wealth from? It was black slaves. So I'm not really trying to hear anything about slavery. Everybody was a slave, white, black, Puerto Rican, Canyon stripe, everybody. Okay. We've advanced as a society past that. And that's why 4th of July is very important. It represents the beginning of the best country on planet Earth. That's why I fly that flag proudly. You know, the current flag and the original flag as well, because I know what the United States is right now, and I love it, and what they were back then. Imperfect, yes. But judging on today's standards, what country on earth was perfect back in 1776? You tell me. I'll wait. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out. I mean, was it China, Japan, somewhere in Europe, Africa, North America? Where was a perfect country at? Judging based on today's standards. Because like I said, back then, slavery was the way of the world. That was a normal thing. But now it's not. It's still kind of going on right now in Africa, as it always has been, but different story. I digress. My whole point is that find me a perfect country back then based on today's standards. I dare you. This country is the best on planet Earth. Okay, some people say, oh, you shouldn't celebrate 4th of July, ABL. You want to do... Look, I'm not trying to go anywhere. People that say you shouldn't celebrate the 4th of July aren't really leaving. And like I've said before in previous videos, this is not North Korea. This is not Cuba. You're not a prisoner. You can leave. You can leave right now. I mean, what's stopping you from leaving? All right, get a little bit of money together. Matter of fact, you can just swim somewhere. If you live on the coast, just go ahead and swim. Try your luck with that. I mean, seriously, you can do a GoFundMe. You can get a one-way ticket to wherever you want. Try to go to China. See how that works out for you. Try to go to somewhere in Europe. Try to go to Africa. How about that? Get your shots, because you ain't trying to get bent in your hind parts by a mosquito and then, take your last little nap. You don't want to do that. You don't want to mess around and catch malaria. They're talking about COVID-19. Well, try catching malaria. See how that works out for you. How about yellow fever or dysentery or cholera or something like that? Things that don't even exist here in America, the best country on planet Earth, but exist over in other parts of the world. We're living in the best place. There are certain parts of the world in which you will be born into poverty and die in poverty, and there's no chance of you breaking that. Okay, that's the reality in certain parts of the world. Here in America, you could be like me, some of my friends, family, other Americans that are born in absolute abject poverty with nothing, and then make yourself into something, okay? You could do so many different things. You can make it here in America where you can't in other parts of the world. The best country on earth. This country was built as and maintained as an experiment in freedom, and it's worked very well. All right, it's worked extremely well. Now, some people don't like it because of aforementioned reasons, but they got to get over it. Like I said, they're not really trying to leave. People that are against America, that hate America, and happen to be Americans living here in America, they enjoy their creature comforts. They enjoy having their AC in the house when it's 100 trillion degrees outside. They enjoy their cell phone with the 4G, 5G, whatever kind of data they have, the high-speed internets. They enjoy their cheap clothing made by somebody in China for like next to nothing. They enjoy all those things we have here in America. But at the same time, they say how much they hate it, but they don't want to go anywhere else. If they go somewhere else, they're going to try to recreate American creature comforts over there. All right. What's the point in doing that when you could just be right here in the best country and enjoy it? People are trying to go to other countries and so-called flourish over there, while the place they're going to has people lined up waiting to get their visa, trying to get into the lottery system, trying to get over here some kind of way, legally or illegally, okay? Because they know this is the best country on planet Earth. We have so many things here, resources, opportunities people take for granted. If you're born and raised here, you might be like, oh, okay, I don't want to do that. I don't care about this particular profession. People come over here without having any chance of that where they come from, and then they succeed. Okay, don't be a hater of America. Don't be a hater of success. Become successful yourself. And if you can't, that's fine. You still living in the best country on planet Earth. Would you rather be unsuccessful here in the States or unsuccessful somewhere else in a third world country where being unsuccessful means you probably won't even live past adulthood? That's pretty much your call, but I know what my call is. I love this country. My ancestors built this country. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not renouncing my flag. I'm not renouncing my citizenship. I'm staying put. And I think most everybody that's watching this, if you're an American citizen, love the country or hate the country, you're going to do the same thing. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about the 4th of July protests because of sins of the past? Also, things that are going on right now with hands up, don't shoot, Black Lives Matter, all this, that, and the third. How do you feel about that? Oh, I almost forgot one thing. I think a lot of these so-called protests are fueled by the need for recognition, the need for Instagram clout. You know, what the cool kids say, you're doing it for the gram, you're doing it for attention on social media, trying to build your brand off of grievance culture. There's money in that. I understand. There may be some legitimate grievances, but the constant everyday protests about this, about that, what is it really for? What are we actually doing? Okay, when I was a kid growing up, there was never a big problem with the 4th of July. You go out there, have your barbecue, your hot dog, get your relish, your ketchup, all this and that, and you enjoy your day. All right, celebrate being American, do American things. What's the big deal? All right, I never was seeing so much outrage culture and victimhood just spewing from people. I'm not a fan of it at all. But am I wrong? Am I right? Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.